Hi guys, it's me Ty here, and today I just finally found out the longest lasting and the easiest to use digital watch out there. I've been fighting with this whole thing with watches. I like to save money and everything, but it's just been a nightmare with watches. Because when I was a kid, I always had a watch where it had the recessed pins on the side of it, where there was one for the hour and one for the minutes, and you just stuck your ballpoint pen in there, and that way you could never screw up the time on it, and it was so handy. Well, I researched in that all over YouTube and eBay and Google, and they don't make those anymore. So later on I ended up going with a cheap watch from Walmart, a digital one, and it was an Armatron, and the battery lasted really long on that thing. But every year when we had the time change, I would have to watch a YouTube video, and even when I did that, it was still a nightmare trying to adjust the time on it. It was just terrible, and especially with me flying overseas where I constantly have to change the time every time I have a layover in different countries. So what I ended up doing is I used that Armatron watch for a few years, but another thing is when you're staying at hotels, when you're going overseas, you have your watch on your hand, you're sleeping, and every hour the little dinger goes off, it chimes that it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and just wakes you up. So I ended up going for many years here with a normal analog watch. But the problem with analog watches is you buy them at Walmart and the battery only lasts 1 year, and then all of a sudden one day it's 6 minutes slow, and everybody else is going home from work and you're still working, and everybody's like, hey, why didn't you clock out yet? So then I would go ahead and I would buy batteries for it, and I put them in, and the battery would last 1 month, and then it just wouldn't be good, and I'd be like, man. So I ended up just would throw the watches away because it always seemed like the factory battery worked the best. Like I said, it's just going against what I believe in, throwing watches away all the time. So here in Cambodia now, I bought a really nice watch. It's kind of like a resin one like this, and I paid $6 for it last year, and at work I ended up tearing the strap on it, and I had to throw it away. So I went ahead and I bought another one here when I was in Cambodia, and it lasted 2 days, and the battery was already slow on that analog watch like that, and I was just all ticked off. So I was like, this one here that I brought from the United States, I'm going to hire them to put a battery in it. So we have tons of watchmakers at Central Market here in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. They all wanted $3 to $5, and I thought that's expensive. I figured like 50 cents. Those batteries are so darn cheap. And talked to one of my friends here, and she's like, the going rate is $2 to $3. So I finally found a guy in Soria Shopping Center, and he changed out the battery for me for $2, which I thought was plenty expensive. And thank God I didn't pay anymore, because after 2 days, the watch was 6 minutes behind the next morning. And it wasn't behind the next morning. It was on time in the morning, and by supper time at 5 o'clock, it was already 6 minutes slow. And I was like, geez, am I just getting junky batteries? Because I was in the United States, I'd order batteries by the mail, or else just go to Walmart and buy them. And like I said, they would only last 1 month. And here, this guy, this watchmaker or whatever, his battery only lasted 2 days. So I Googled it, and they said, nope, it's not the battery's fault. They said these quartz analog watches, they're not like the really expensive Rolexes and stuff. They have like years where you have to wind them up every single day. I didn't realize you had to do that with them. They said with these, they use a battery, and that as these watches are getting newer and newer, they put a smaller and smaller battery, which can't hold much electricity as it is. And when he opened up this one, it had the tiniest little darn battery in there. And they said that what happens is these watches get older just after a year, that there's a lot more friction inside of them, that everything just kind of wears out, and that battery has to work harder and harder to turn the dials in that watch. So they're like, you just can't get ahead of it. Your only option is to go with a digital watch, where the batteries can last for many years and all that, but they are a nightmare to set them, especially the Armatrons. Well, I found out with all my reviews here, they said the Casio F-91w digital watch is the one that you want to buy. Casio came out in the year 1990, and it's now 2025. They've been around 35 years, and they have changed absolutely nothing on this model of watch. And instead of having 4 buttons on it, it's just got 3. And this one here is a knockoff brand, you guys. See, it says OTS. It does not say Casio on it. But what makes it so simple here is this bottom button here, you press it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And that'll take you to your time adjustments. And then this one here, you click this one time, and the hours will start flashing. And then this here is how you change the hours. So once the hour's flashing, click this 1, it'll move the hour up 1 there. And then once you have it where you want, go ahead and press this button another time up here. And then it will shift over to the minutes right there. And then use this button here, click, 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 to adjust your minutes. Then when you're done with that, you go and you click this one here, and it'll do the, I'm trying to think here, the month or something like that. It'll go 1 through 12 is what it'll show. And you go ahead and you click this one here, choose which month. Then you click this top one again, and then it'll go through for the days of the week. Like here it shows Monday, MO is Monday. And then you click on here, you click it one time, you go to Tuesday, click it again, it'll go to Wednesday, and so on. And then once you get on the day of the week that you're at right now, you click it again, and then up in the corner it says 22. This is the 22nd of December. So you go ahead and you click this till whatever day of the month you want it at. And then when you're done there, you click it again, and that should be it. And at first when I watched YouTube videos on how to adjust this watch, it seemed like, it's like, man, this is just another complicated one. But the reality is, Casio, when you're adjusting the time like that, they are training you how to, just like you use repetition to train little kids and dogs or any of them, and a horse, you're doing the same thing over and over again, that it just beats it in your head. And sure as heck, that it trained me. I watched that video, and then when I went to the watch shop today here, I went ahead and I never even asked the lady. I was like, I want to see this watch, and I tried it on. It felt nice and comfortable, and I went ahead and I just started adjusting the time. But the one thing I couldn't get to adjust was the alarm. I was like, I told her, I was like, that's something that's really annoying for me with those Armatron watches, is that I have it on my wrist and I'm trying to sleep waiting for my next airplane, and every hour it chirps. And she's like, what you got to do is, instead of pressing this button 3 times to go to adjusting your time, you just press it 1 time. And I will show you guys. Press it. 1. Okay. Now it shows 12 o'clock alarm. And I do not know how to set the alarm. I'm not going to use the alarm because I use my cell phone for that. And then here on the right hand side, you press this button here, and then it shows a whole bunch of little lines there. That's for the chirping, where it'll chirp on every hour. At 1 o'clock it'll chirp, at 2 o'clock it'll chirp. Press it again, and then it shows the bell, and that means that you're setting the alarm clock for 12 or whatever. And then of course it's going to start beeping like crazy, and you're not going to know how to shut it off. And then you hit it a 3rd time. Now you have the chirping every hour and the alarm on, and you press it, that right hand one, again. Now it doesn't have any of those. All it says is alarm, because that's what screen that you're on. And now all you have to do is you go ahead and you press your bottom left button here to go back to your normal time there. And there you guys are. It doesn't show any of that alarm stuff up there. And I will actually go ahead and I'll set an alarm for you guys, just so you guys can see when you're on that screen. So I will go ahead and I'll press this button right here with my thumb. Just 1 time, you guys. There we are. And then I'll go ahead and press this one here 2 times to bring up. Okay, there we have the hourly chime. Press it again. Now we have the bell. Now we have the hourly chime plus the bell. Now I'll press this one here to go back to our normal screen. And there you guys can see it up in the very top left corner, you'll see the lines there for hourly chime, and then a bell for the alarm to be going off. And like I said, I do not want that. I do not want to be woke up and annoyed by this darn thing. So I will just go ahead and press this bottom left button again. Just one time. Now, like I said, up there, you'll see that the alarms are on, and then press this button here on the right here. Press it one time there. And all alarms have shut off on it, you guys, as you can see. Now I'll press this bottom one here to go back to my normal time and go back to my life. There we are, you guys. But yeah, like I said, these watches have been around that long. At first I was kind of worried. I watched the reviews on it, and they said that the strap here is the first thing I'll break or whatever. Well, this isn't like a little kid's watch they would wreck here, you guys. This thing here is actual like resin rubber. It's very smooth. So I don't think this thing's gonna get ripped, you guys. This thing seems really heavy duty, actually. And some people say that it's looks too small for a person's wrist. Actually, I don't mind it. For my wrist here, it doesn't look bad at all, you guys. So, oh, and then I wasn't aware of it, but it actually does have a backlight. I remember from our childhoods, the backlights didn't work very well, but this one here, it actually works really well. So I'll press it's the top left button, you guys. I'll show you. Right there. You press and hold that one and it'll light up the screen. But yeah, I can see it really well here underneath the dark shadow of the bed here. Of course not in the daylight here, but yeah. I'm planning on having my whole family convert to that type of watch rather than wasting $12 to $16 a year every year at Walmart buying a new darn watch. So, and then how I was getting by with this analog watch here, you guys, after I watched that Google review, every day I was going ahead and turning, in the morning when I wake up, I would go ahead and I would turn the hands of this thing here like 2 minutes ahead of what my phone showed, just so that it would be able to stay ahead of it. But talk about a pain in the butt, you guys, doing that. I mean, it's just get a watch like this that's really simple to set the time on. If you guys like this content, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll keep kicking out these money-saving videos for you guys. All right, bye.